By 1754, the British had settled 13 colonies along the east coast of what would be the United States. Meanwhile, the French had established colonies in Canada, which led to the French and Indian War, which lasted from 1756 to 1763. The British helped the colonies defeat the French and the Indians. In 1763, the Treaty of Paris was signed by the British and the French to end the war. The French and Indian War left Britain in tremendous debt. To pay for this debt, Britain unfairly began taxing the colonists. In 1765, the Stamp Act was passed, forcing colonists to pay for all printed material. Taxation without representation became a rallying cry for the colonists against the British. All the taxation led to the Boston Tea Party on December 16, 1773. After the Tea Party, the colonists stopped paying taxes, leading to the beginning of the Revolutionary War. On April 19, 1775, the first military engagements of the American Revolutionary War took place in Lexington and Concord. This is referred to as the shot that was heard around the world. On June 15, 1775, the Continental Congress appointed George Washington as Commander-in-Chief. On June 17, 1775, the Battle of Bunker Hill took place on the Charleston Peninsula. The highest point on the peninsula is Bunker Hill, followed by Breed's Hill, overlooking Boston, Massachusetts. The colonists held fortified positions atop the hills to defend against the British attack. The Charleston Peninsula is located between the Mystic River and the Charles River in what is known today as New England. The British troops landed on the southeast shore of the Charleston Peninsula at the foot of Breed's Hill. Bunker Hill was to the northwest of Breed's Hill, and although the battle is known as the Battle of Bunker Hill, most of the fighting actually took place on Breed's Hill. The British officers were General William Howe and Commander Thomas Gage. Leading the colonists were General Israel Putnam and Commander William Prescott. General Putnam commanded Prescott to fortify Bunker Hill and prepare for the attack. The night before the battle, June 16th, Prescott ordered his 1,200 men to fortify the hill. Somehow, by mistake, Prescott built a fortification on Breed's Hill, the shorter of the two hills. No one knows if the wrong location was chosen due to miscommunication, faulty maps, or the darkness. Overnight, Prescott and his men built a wall that was 160 feet long and approximately 6 feet high. Seeing the wall the next morning infuriated British General Howe. Howe said it would take his men a month to build such a wall. Howe ordered the cannons from the ships in the harbor as well as the cannons located in Boston to fire on the colonists. The cannon attacks had little effect on the colonists' position, but set the town of Charleston ablaze. Colonists from Boston watched the battle that day from their rooftops. Watching battles was common in that time period. The colonists, or Minutemen, as they were known because they were ready to fight at a minute's notice, were very low on ammunition. It is thought that each man had approximately 10 musket balls each to defend the hill. General Putnam commanded Prescott, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes, then fire low." As the British disembarked preparing for battle, Prescott rallied the men, yelling, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes." The British thought a show of force would be enough to cause the colonists to flee, and an attack would not be necessary. The first attack at Breed's Hill, some of the 1,500 British troops didn't load their muskets and were forced to retreat. A second attack was also repelled by the colonists. By the third attack, the British had added 400 reinforcements. By that time, many of the colonists were out of ammunition and were forced to fire glass and rocks. The third British attack was successful, and the colonists were forced to retreat. Prescott's 1,200 men were eventually overrun by an enemy British force of 2,200 men. The British lost over 1,000 troops, while the Americans lost about 450. This includes dead and wounded. The British lost approximately 100 officers during the battle because the Americans targeted the officers. Targeting officers was considered bad etiquette at the time, but was very effective. Although the Americans lost the battle, they gained a great deal of confidence and learned the British were not invincible. Today on Breed's Hill, a 221 feet tall granite obelisk stands as a monument to the Battle of Bunker Hill.